very warm welcome to the first episode of the Media Talks Show series. I am so excited at all that we are going to be doing together. I have lined up peer learning sessions, veteran sessions, and lots of conversations around the evolving tools, the evolving strategies, the evolving methods that are coming up on a day-to-day basis in the media profession. So you don't want to miss any episode of the Media Talks Show series. I like to first of all start with what I call the what's more principle. This is something that we are going to be taking a look at and addressing in loads of episodes of the Media Talks Show series. You must ask yourself that question this year, what's more? And I start with this personal story of mine. When I was working in the broadcast medium, radio, with the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, one of the programs I had that I produced and I initiated and worked with a number of team members to produce weekly is the program we call the ABIA, Maternal and Child Health Program, where we educate women and push more women to register for antenatal and dissuade people from, engaging in practices that, puts mothers and children, babies in harm's way. This was the go-to program for our audience. So often when people miss any episode of this program, they will reach out on our feedback line to say, oh, can we have a repeat broadcast of that program? And I tell you that I was like, it looked like we are at the peak of that program. And then I attended the Radio Netherlands Soaps and Society course in the Netherlands for TV and radio. And I discovered that there was so much more that I could do with my content in terms of programming as a producer, presenter, and all of that. And so when I got back, I asked myself the question, what's more? BC, what can you do more with your content? So the what's more took me to add an extra to my the ordinary things I did with my programming, content creation. I had to do the extra. And this led me, I and my team, to travel all over the primary healthcare centers in Oyo State, and we're able to capture over 20 local government area public primary health centers where we worked with public health people, the nurses, the government stakeholders. We attended immunization sessions, antenatal sessions. I had to, write stories, produce radio drama, interview the expert. It was adding a lot of extra. But I tell you that led to this program becoming an even more go-to program. We had a lot of adverts on the program, commercials, which is the problem of many, media organizations, and it was a good thing for us. And then that led me to going for my master's in social work. And not just that eventually enabled me to work in the development sector, both with local NGOs and international NGOs. And so I am here trying to inspire media professionals, journalists like myself, to answer the question, what's more? And that is the question I want you to take with you this year, which is why we are starting the first episode of the Media Talk Show series with what I call scaling up your career A game as a media professional. Scaling up your career A game as a media professional in 2025. And I'm excited that we have in the house someone that will do justice to that. A veteran, someone with years of experience in the industry. I'm talking about no other person than Mr. Lekan Otufodunrin. You're welcome to Media Talk Show series, sir.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I'm excited already, and I'm looking forward to our conversation on how media professionals can scale up their A game in the new year. But first, let me quickly share a bit of the background of our guests. Now, Lekan Otufodunrin is a vastly experienced multimedia journalist, career development specialist, media trainer, and communications expert. He was a former managing editor and Sunday editor of The Nation. He was also a former group news political and city editor of Punch newspaper. A fellow of the Thompson Foundation, UK, and Poynter Institute, Florida. Otufodunrin is an adjunct lecturer at the University of Lagos, associate lecturer at the Nigerian Institute of Journalism and Yaba College of Technology. I caught a big fish. Yes, you're welcome again, sir, to the program.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to join you.
All right. So we're going to dig right into it. And first of all, I've had time to read your book, The Journalist You Ought to Be. And
Thank
I
you
must
very
tell
much.
you that loads of nuggets, information, experience sharing. I got loads here. And I thought it is something that we should be sharing with media professionals like myself. We are talking about scaling up your career A game as a media professional in the year. Now, what does that mean to you? What strikes your mind when we talk about bringing your A game, even as you move on in the new year as a media professional?
So thank you once again, and it's my pleasure to join you on this very, very important discussion. For me, scaling up your A game means that you are moving towards the ultimate. You are maximizing your opportunity. So if A is a ABC down, you are coming to A where is the ultimate, although Z is the end of it. But A game figuratively means you are on top, just like you score A in your exam when you are in school. So it's like getting the best you can do, maximizing, ensuring that you utilize your skill to the best of your ability so that you are not disadvantaged in any way. So that's what I think. And there's no better time to think about it. We are moving into a new year when it's not about just New Year resolution, it's about your career resolution. It's about ensuring that, like you said in the introduction, am I doing the best? Am I where I should be? What else can I do beyond whatever I have accomplished so far?
All right. Thank you. And, like I checked a bit of the dictionary meaning of A game. It talks about one's highest level of play of performance. That is according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And Cambridge says your best performance, bringing your best performance. And just like you said, no matter where you are, you can do much more. Whether you are in your early career as a media professional, journalist, reporter, producer, content creator, TV, radio, and all of that. No matter where you are in your career, whether as an early practitioner, you are a beginner, you are a middle management, you are management, you are CEO of a TV or radio station, you are chief editor, what more can you do? And that is the conversation. Now, bringing it home to us as media professionals, I read something in your book, The Journalist You Ought to Be, talking about the importance of us having a media career mission statement. What does that mean?
Well, again, mission statement, like we know, is about being mission driven. So when we hear mission statement, we associate it with like an organization having a mission statement, and even a company having a mission statement, what we want to achieve. But what we are saying is that as a person who is going towards somewhere, you need to know where you are going. A mission statement is like a roadmap. It's something that sets you on a particular lane so that you know at what point where you are really where you are supposed to be. Like I said in that book, if you don't know where you are going, everywhere you get to will seem like your ultimate. So as a journalist, if you become a news editor, it seems to you that this is the best that you can ever be. But whereas you know that you are still going to become editor, you are even still going to go beyond that. So the mission statement is a statement that defines what you want to accomplish, how you want to accomplish it, what you want to be known for, what gives you satisfaction that yes, I am where I'm supposed to be. So that's exactly, so it's important that we have a mission statement that you can constantly look back and say, am I still on the way to where I am going to? Because if you don't have that, our job is so draining that you forget yourself so much that you don't know when. I mean, I illustrated in my book that at a point in time I was news editor at the Punch. Even at that time, I'd never traveled out of this country. People with lesser qualification have traveled. And it took me a reawakening to say, I need to do this. It took me almost 20 years to go for my master's degree,
Wow.
And so so that's also about, if I had a mission and I knew I want to accomplish it, I knew that I needed those qualifications. So the mission statement is very, very important, and it's never late to have it. Just to be able to keep checking, to be sure. You don't live your life on chance and just think that everything will just work well. Things don't work well. People have to work it.
So now, when you talk about mission statements as a media professional, what's your own media mission statements? Can you share that? And what's a typical mission statement so people can have something in perspective?
Well, I don't have it in my head now, but I can try. So, for example, my mission statement, which I redefine, sometimes we need to keep redefining some of these things because circumstances may be. At the point when I decided that I wanted to be, so my mission statement is to be that mission, the media mentor that provides that support for every category of journalists. That's the kind of thing. It doesn't have to be as dramatic as whatever, but it's something that just signposts the thing you want to be. So and that's why I want to be a media mentor, a counselor, not just a trainer. Somebody can just train and move on. And that's what I've been working towards. So you can sit down and think about it, but it's something like says like, I want to be the ultimate media mentor that meets the expectation of journalists, because our goal at Media Career is to provide that support that is missing. The truth is that in our industry, training, counseling, mentoring is not prioritized. It just happens. It just happens. You'll be lucky if you have those kind of things put together. So our organization is like in between, like what we call in the UK, minding the gap. Somebody that provides that interface between the training they are getting and what you should do next. People go for trainings, they come back, they don't know what to do about it, they get confused in the newsroom, or some people just move from one training to the other. They acquire all the certificates, just like what goes on LinkedIn. I've done this, so what next? So that is the kind of thing that we want. We want a situation where somebody can call us up, for example, and say, look, this is what I'm thinking about. What do you think? So those are the kind of support that we want. So that's our mission, to provide that ultimate career guidance that is not available. Structured career support, which we think that's what we are working on.
Yes, I get you, and I think that's very important, because again, one of the reasons why I started this show is to provide the what's more for media professionals. Oftentimes we just limit ourselves to that. Oh, I'm a reporter, I'm a producer, I'm a presenter, I'm editor, and then there's just not that opening up of our minds to other possibilities of what our career, the media profession can do. That there is so much more we can do with the profession. And that brings me to this question. You have evolved, as an editor to, editor, you served as an editor into the Nation newspaper and the Punch newspaper. And then, of course, you evolved into lecturing. All right. So, and many times media professionals are not able to think of what's the added value to my profession, whether you are still practicing in the mainstream media, print, TV, radio, before we come to talk about the digital media anyway. What's that extra value? How do we discover the extra value in our profession as media professionals, so that we are not just in one place, you are just there, not moving, you are not achieving any progress in your profession?
Okay, again, I sometimes I count myself lucky that I woke up early to this discussion we are talking about. I count myself lucky that I woke up to this discussion we are talking about at some point, and that's how I have to do. That's why it's important to be exposed. You are a reporter, you go out. One of the topics in my book talks about learn from what you are covering. Be inspired by what you are
Yeah.
reporting. So as you go out, you see things. So for me, I was curious. That's very important. You need to be very curious. You need to ask. And I mean, how did I come to call myself media career development person? I met a young lady who studied education, and I asked her, what do you say? I'm a job solution specialist. And it got me thinking. So, I mean, that's somebody that is defining that thing. And that day I started saying, so I'm a journalist, but what else? What do I like to do? I discovered
What
that I
else?
like to
Yeah.
mentor people. So I started to look, so I'm a media career development specialist. And I had to Google it. I saw many people say they are media trainer, but this is different.
Okay.
You know, it meets a particular need. So the thing is, you need to have that hunger to say, look, what else can I do differently? You need to, like what we
Yeah.
call, audit your skills, audit it, spread it on the ground. So I'm a reporter, I'm a writer. I remember at a point in time during the military era, Punch was shot along with Guardian and Concord for a whole year. And somebody was trying to help me get a job. That person is not in. They said, so apart from reporting, what else can you do? I
Do.
was blank. I was blank. And it also got me thinking. But thankfully, these days, we are beginning to see that the skill of journalism is not just for writing alone. It's for many other things. So I teach today, I'm a journalist, but I'm teaching that skill, which is very, very
Yeah.
important. You know, I can lecture, I can do a consultancy work. You know, so those are the things that you need to begin to see. You win awards repeatedly. You need to move from being an award winner to an expert. Produce
Yeah.
materials. You remember boss said during our conference,
Yes. Yes.
who runs a character development organization. She's written books. She's talking to some highly placed people talking about character development. So it's important about it's a soul searching thing that you need to do. And like I said, audit your skill. Find the one that is not working. Find the one that you can amplify. You know, and that will really help. But it's something that you have to be, because it's like I said, you may be lost in doing the job. So,
Mm.
I mean, some journalists take pride in not going to leave. It's one of the disadvantages that we have. And that's why we end up doing the same thing the same way and expecting a change. When
A
you go on
change.
leave, you reflect on your work. You see what other people are doing. You know, you get inspired about what else you can do. And you raise your imagination beyond the
Yeah.
small newsroom where you are working. I think that's
Yeah.
going to help.
Yes. Very, very helpful. Very helpful. For me also, when you talk about going on leave, taking break is
Mm.
something that Nigerians, may God help us. Even when you're on leave, you see people still trying to look for work somewhere to do. And that's not helpful as a creative, because as journalists, media professionals, you are a creative. And some of my best creative works came during my leave period. Like when I first started writing and producing radio drama productions, it was during my leave that it just, occurred to me, yeah, we've been doing this and I can do this. And over the years, I have learned to sit with myself, like you said, to take stock of my other skills. What can I do? What do I like doing? I can write. I'm a creative writer. I can present. I can conceptualize content, because I'm a broadcast person, so production is my core. I can conceptualize ideas and bring it up to content. I can edit. I do audio editing and I've added video editing. So there are lots of things I realize I can do that I can put to work beyond being in a broadcast media organization. So that is where we are taking, the conversation. Now, which brings me to this question. A lot of times journalists cover events, or you whether you are covering it for a news reporting, or you want to create a feature story, or you want to create a magazine, or you want to create a live interview, you want to cover an issue. How can we, beyond just covering the events or talking about the issues in our societies, in our programming or articles, how can we ourselves, be inspired by what we report, just like you said in your book? How can we be inspired and leverage on what we are reporting to be better?
Well, again, I think it still goes back what I'm saying, that number one, you must have a desire to be better than what you are. That desire spurs you to be thinking, how can we learn from what I am covering? And one of the other things I mentioned in the book is that journalists should be skeptical, not cynical. And what that means is that, there's a way we carry on as journalists, like we've seen it all. I know all
Mm,
these things. I know when this school started, and there's nothing wrong in being skeptical, but when you are cynical, you don't see good, even when it's
yeah.
around you. So, and that is very, very important. So for us is that what I have cultivated is that I have an open mind. I'm willing to learn from my environment. Sometimes I tell people that journalists can be very arrogant with their work. There is this way of
Mm.
like, all these
Eh,
things that
We
they
are, we are the
so
one, we know
we are
everything.
the
We are very
one.
important.
So if you don't have those kind of attitude, if you have an open mind, and you have a desire to improve, you even learn from people who are younger than you. You learn from
Mm,
people who have ideas. You will
yeah.
ask for help. You will ask for help. So those are the combination of things that you need to do. Some of the things I do today, I told people. So when I became an online editor at the Nation, I didn't know how to do a number of things. My daughter
Yeah.
taught me how to edit photographs. So it's as
Oh,
simple as that. So those kind of, but like I keep saying, that desire to improve, not just being like bemoaning your state, and
yeah.
saying that and having that mindset like journalists don't make it. You can't. I mean, I tell people,
Mm,
nobody should tell me that journalists cannot make money. That if you want to make money to not come to journalism, you can make money in journalism with the skills that you have. If you broaden it the
yeah.
way we have talked about.
Yeah.
So if you broaden it, we will have talked about. So it's not about that having that deficit mindset, but that puts us
Yeah.
in a position where we don't aspire. But thankfully, we are in a digital age where you can see best practice. I tell people, I have seen people who came into this profession much younger than us. They've accomplished things better, and
Yes.
I learned from them. We also must go beyond just the narrow media industry.
Mm,
Recently, Tech Kaba, there's an organization called Tech Kaba. They are
yeah.
marking 10 years anniversary. They put out a video, and I've watched that video twice. These are young, creative people who've come into the same media that we say there's no money, but they are
Yeah.
reporting tech. The same way some of us will just say infotech, we're just reporting what one IT company is doing or not. But they have innovated, they've gone into consultancy, they've come into mining data, they've done analysis, they still have their not. So beyond news, there's a lot that we can do. So those are the kind of
Yes.
attitude that I think we have. But it's something that you must be intentional. Very, very important. That work cannot be overstretched. You must desire that you want to expand your horizon. If you do that, so many things are possible.
Yes, you must desire to expand your horizon.
Yeah.
I take that. Very, very important. Nobody is going to do it for you. If you're not willing to learn, you think maybe sometimes I think some people go from the level of they feel defeated that, oh, I've spent so many years in this, I'm too old to learn this. I believe nobody is too old to learn. Which brings me to the next question: the digital media. Why should it matter? How can this help us to achieve our A game as media professionals? Because again, we have this attitude of what are they doing there? And we are the professionals. We are how media people can pride ourselves. Why should the digital media matter to us if we're going to bring our A game to the table as media professionals?
Well, it should matter to us because the media has been disrupted. The traditional media, as we know it, has been disrupted. What you call the media today is not your traditional TV, newspaper, and whatever. It's something that is driven by digital scale, by digital platforms. The things that have been broken down. So somebody was talking, Roina, a Nigerian who used to head solution journalism, was talking about how to monitor your audience. He said before, for example, these people will gather around newspaper stand and be discussing about newspaper headlines. Today, people will
Yeah.
create a Twitter discussion and be talking about newspaper headlines. But the
Yes.
newspapers are not there. The journalists are not in that conversation. They don't know what those people are discussing. And
Yeah.
that's a digital platform. Today, It's not enough to publish on your newspaper. You need to publish on your website. You need to publish
Yeah.
on your social media. You need to reuse your content beyond the original format. Radio is no longer radio as it used to be. Today
Yeah.
you are watching radio. You are not just listening to radio.
Exactly.
You know? So
Exactly.
if you don't understand how it works, today you are a columnist, they publish your story in a paper that sells 5,000 copies, but that same story is shared on a link on a Twitter that is followed by maybe 500,000. You know, so those things makes it very, very imperative to change, to
Yeah.
learn. The good thing is that we already mastered this traditional skill. How can we add this digital skill? How can we expand our reach?
Yeah.
Because we are no longer a newspaper or a radio station or a TV. We are a multimedia organization now.
Exactly.
We are a
Exactly.
multimedia. We are a content provider. People want content. So you are a radio station. You have a YouTube that is very active. You have social
Yeah.
media that is providing all those things. People work in those spaces must understand it. Like I tell people, what part of the problem is that we don't have proper convergence. So we still have like the traditional people saying, we are doing our own in the newsroom. We don't know what's happening online. The others we are trying to reach,
Yeah.
sometimes they have what we are trying to give them the next day. They already know what has happened after that. And you are just reaching them.
Yeah.
So back to your
Yeah.
question, the digital knowledge is very, very important. It's the defining factor about who is a journalist now, who is a media professional now. And if you are still playing small in the traditional mode, you can continue. But trust me, you're losing out big time. You know,
Yeah.
people go online to search for experts. It's the people they find there. So if you don't have online presence, if you don't have digital prints, you know, you are losing out. You find somebody
Yeah.
who is coming in the same field 5 months, 5 years, you have done 20 years, but it's all over the internet. You know, it's what
Yeah.
people see that they will use. So again, digital skill is important. It can be acquired. I think that's the most important thing. You can learn it. You may not be able to learn everything, but you can get support. You know, these days we're also advocating for tech journalist support, collaboration. You know, and more importantly, I also need to warn traditional journalists: don't move to digital space and still be analog in your ways. So don't
Oh
start,
yeah.
yes, don't start a website, put a story there and go and sleep. So much is happening. Don't put your column on a website and you can't even share it on your social media handle. You can't even
Exactly.
engage with people. The digital space is not a dumping site. People want to hear from you. You need to know what they are
Exactly.
saying. You need to respond to them. You need to think about what product can you do. How can you turn that your series of interview into an ebook, for example, and still sell? They call it
Yeah.
repurposing. How can you repurpose your content? How can you turn some of those your content into ebook? You've done a lot of interview. I remember I had a discussion with a female journalist who I know has interviewed many female accomplished people. I said, look, you need to turn this thing into an ebook. I got that idea from a book. The book coincidentally is called What Next. What happened to that book is that book was done by a female journalist. She read a book by a male journalist, no, a male writer who interviewed people about what they are doing in the prime of life. She felt that person did not do enough about covering women. So she complained to that person to improve on it. The person said, why don't you do that for women? So consciously said, I'll do it. She thought she was going to do it in 6 months. It took her years to do, but she produced that book. So what I'm saying is that, can you go back to those things you are doing? How can you repurpose them? That's what digital makes possible. Can you start a newsletter around the work that you do? Can you do some podcasts? Can you do some videos? Can you break them down in the format that is accessible, that people can? What are the digital? Like I keep saying, we should not be analog. We should not adopt analog sense on a digital platform. We'll still be far behind.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You know, I love that idea of repurposing your content. So this is the extra value that your work brings. So for example, you've interviewed a lot of several notable personality. You know, Mr. Lekan is saying you can repurpose it into an ebook. You can, have like multifaceted content, ebook, newsletter, podcast, videos. So when you put your content out there, when you interact and interface with the digital media, it is not just enough to go and dump your article or your news or even your audio content or video content. Think of the variety that you could bring to it. Think of the extra value that those things can bring to you. So for example, I've written over 300 episodes of in episode though, not even in episode is more than 300 of radio drama content. So I have decided to put them in a book. I have them in handout. I've decided to create a course around that particular skill and to sell it. I have put my story in a bio. I'm doing media talks here. This one is free, doing it for free to encourage media personnel, but I'm repurposing what I can do. And so the benefits and the rewards can come to you in repurposing. And that means you have to have an open mind. And that's the conversation that we are having here. Now, this brings me to people that have been in the field. So I've seen people that they've served, you said it took you 20 years before you even thought of doing your master's, before you woke up, that you didn't wake up on time. And you were lucky that somehow you still managed to wake up before it was too late. So some people served 35 years in the industry or even more, and they didn't answer that question of what is more. And they come to a point where they are now bitter. They are sad that they've invested so much time in the career, whether as a journalist, reporter, or you just reach chief editor. Is that all? There is nothing more. What do you want to say to people that have put in a lot of years and are afraid of what the future holds for them because they can't see anything that they could really say, okay, this is what is more for me? What would you have to say to such a person? And then invariably people that have spent so many years and they have not woken up, that needs to wake up.
So what I would say to them is that there's this saying that it's never too late to get it right. But I tell people sometimes it can be too late. Sometimes it can be too late. But the saving grace that we are talking about, you are hearing. And that's the value of exposure. My advice is that at whatever point that you wake up, like they said, that's your morning. So it's important, to seek help. That's the word. Seek help from people. I've seen journalists who retired and have reached out to me. I've seen journalists who say, Lekan, how is it that you are quote and unquote everywhere? We did the same thing together. What's the magic? But I tell you that it's about asking questions. It's about seeking help. It's about being open. But I quickly want to add that our industry needs to help us. We need to run our industry as professional as possible. Because it's reporters that becomes manager, and we perpetuate this cycle of lack of training, lack of professional mindset. You see people who work in some other sector, they go to trainings regularly. It's part of their addition. Somebody said, if you don't train your staff because you think they will go with that knowledge, you will have mediocre staff. And that's what's happening. So it has to become something that is a part of industry requirement, where we consciously help our people. Like you talk about bitterness. I go into training and I ask people, how many of you are happy being journalists? Many people are reluctant to raise their hands because they are not happy. They think the industry has not helped them. So that's why it starts from the industry. But beyond the industry, you need to take some personal step. And the personal step we're talking about is asking questions, what you know, what you don't know. There's something I discovered recently, which has been there. They call it reverse mentoring. I want to promote it because what young people can teach you. So those interns you have in your newsroom that you think they are no good or that they can't write news story, they have some skill that they can teach you. They have something they can tell you how to use Google beyond just sending messages. So that's the kind of thing that we need to do. So again, we've seen people who came onto digital late, but they've been able to master it. The beauty of it is that you have the content. The question is, how do you use it? So we need to sit
Yeah.
down. You need to go for training. Don't badge into digital without training. So many people start their websites, their blogs, their podcasts. They don't have training. They are the mercy of digital providers, like all those website designers and things like that. Get that
Yeah.
training. Spend that 1 month, 2 months learning, and come with your own multiple ideas. So training doesn't have to be big. It could be as small
Yeah.
as one-on-one. It could be some short courses. It could be some online learning. It could be some free webinars,
Yeah.
so that the things that you can learn from. There are some self-help videos about anything. Just go on Google, how to use this. It will come up. But that willingness to learn will save you the agony of thinking, I've wasted all the years doing this job. Because like we're saying, people who don't have 1/10 of the experience you have are
Yeah.
prospering in that same industry that we are complaining about. So
Exactly.
so that's the thing that we must understand.
Exactly. I'm happy to hear, some of what you have said. So, and a few things that I would like to reiterate from what you've just said is the need to network. Don't just sit as an island. I know it's all, network. We have gone past that. Oh, I'm in this. I'm in Punch. I mind myself. I'm in Nation. No. Network across, not just even print. Network. If you are in print, network across the people that are in the broadcast medium. Network across people that are in the digital space. Network. Don't be an island. And then also, I love the idea of reverse mentoring. I learned a lot from anybody, from the people that are higher than me, that are me, people in my space, my colleagues. That I also learned a lot from the people we call Gen Z. We call them, we say they are the one. I learned a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I watch online. Sometimes I have people that are working with me. I say, come and teach me how to do this. I don't pretend that I know. I ask. Recently, I was watching a podcast, like a live podcast, talking about digital marketing. And I tell you, I took away, I thought I knew what digital marketing was. I took a whole lot away from that, whether 40 minutes or thereabout conversation, that has led me to even be thinking of having a media talks, bringing the same experts to come and talk about digital marketing. And in that conversation, one of the things I learned is that we have digital marketers now, just like we have normal commercial marketers in media organizations, meaning that if you want to be a media marketer in your organization, you should be thinking about stepping up, scaling up to being not just a normal waka into shops and or in organization writing it. You need to become a digital marketer, and there is a market for that role, because there are new jobs, there are new skills. It means that there are new roles. And I tell people, I have a social media handler who I am paying. It may not be much, but I'm paying her. She did not train as a media. In fact, I'm having to teach her something. But she knows the work of digital marketing, digital content creation, and she's earning money from it, not just from me, but from different people. So we need to scale up with, that idea of, I don't know, so you sit down, learn from the up and coming, and there are lots of resources online that you can watch. Don't say, I don't have the money. Lots of free resources, and this program is also one of them. And then, of course, training. Media organization, I agree with you, should work in training. I was lucky, the Radio Nigeria has a training school. So staff members were lucky to have gone to training. I went for basic, intermediary, and senior level production courses and all of that. But again, I'm not sure whether the generation coming have that value, for them. So organizations will have that. But most importantly, some of the things that got me beyond the starting point of Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria is that I looked for training. I applied for courses. I applied for fellowships. And you also did that, sir. You talked about, training abroad. You have to look for those opportunities yourself and apply. Believe that you can make it into those opportunities to be trained. So beyond what your organization can do, you need to do more for yourself. You need to move from your table. You need to move. So thank you so much for all that you have shared. On a final note, what will you want to tell media professionals as we go on in the new year? What is the one thing in your heart that you would like to tell our colleagues in the industry, whether they are just beginners, middle management, or managers or owners of media organizations?
So again, just before I think this morning I was, my son talks to me about talking about critical thinking. There's some assumptions that we get that we don't discuss. So there's some popular sayings. So I was thinking, people say think outside the box. And I was saying to myself, if you can't think in the box, you can't think outside the box. That's very important. If you can't think in the box, chances that you can think outside the box is limited. So what I'm saying is that, number one, think about where you are. Are you doing enough? Are you doing enough where you are? Are you maximizing available opportunities? Are you seeking opportunities to showcase what you have capacity to do? If you are not doing that, you are shortchanging yourself. Are you maximizing the opportunity that you have where you are now? Or are you dodging jobs? So there's a way you work in a place and they are looking for people to do something. You just hide. As long as it's not a plus for you, it's a disadvantage, because it's the people who show up to do things that people give opportunities. So it's important. So my point is that as we move into 2025, you need to be more intentional. The emphasis is more intentional. You need to ask yourself, are you where you are supposed to be? We all may not move at the same speed, but if you are not conscious, you'll be far behind. What are people around you doing that you really want to do? How have they been able to accomplish those things? What can you do? We've mentioned that lots of opportunities. Every year we publish in our organization what we call capacity development report. We provide you directions to what people have done. And that is why open your mind. Seeking necessary training is very, very important. So if you don't have additional qualification, this is the time to think about it. There are some levels you get that your first degree, your diploma is not enough. They will ask for higher qualification even when you have the experience. So get the required advanced knowledge that you need. You need additional qualification to be able to scale up your opportunities. Even as it's a free for all, people still delineate who has what, because there are some higher level of jobs that require some requirements. So if you need those qualifications, please get them. I know somebody who was an editor and went to school as a lawyer. He became a lawyer. I know an MD who became a lawyer while he was an MD. So don't tell people that you don't have enough time. People say journalism is a lot of time. The same 24 hours you have, other people have. I know so many people who have acquired additional qualification. And when it's time to move on, that is what helps them. If I didn't have a master's degree, I can't be an adjunct lecturer in a university or a polytechnic. Even now, they're even asking for a PhD. So that's why you never can be tired of getting additional qualification. But more importantly, network, like we have said. Subscribe to newsletters. Writing your ideas. See what people are doing. I don't want to say other clients. People say it's very, very, but learn what people are doing everywhere and see what you can do locally. It's very, very important. The lesson from digital is as simple as what this morning my wife told me. So we had a Thanksgiving service in our church yesterday, and she organized some young people to do some playlist. And I said, how did you? She said she got it from YouTube. She saw it done somewhere. She liked it and she adopted. So the same thing about all these things we are talking about. What are journalists in other places doing? Everywhere the media is in trouble. So it's not particular to Nigeria. The oldest Sunday newspaper in South Africa, worldwide, closed down. And we are going to have more of that shut down. More that's I'm going to show. People say you have to create new opportunities. So if it will not be work, if you can't work as a newspaper journalist again, can you have your own blog? Can you have your own podcast? Can you repurpose your content? These days, storytelling is very, very important. The format. So you may have news. People don't want to watch the news in the normal format. Can you tell that story? So don't tell me I'm a print person. Can you come on audio to tell that story? Can you come on video to explain that principle that people are confused about? The same thing you write in an editorial. Can you explain it to people so that they can understand? So again, my takeaway, storytelling will be very, very important, and being diverse in the platform that you are able to reach people will be very important, and auditing your skill. Audit it so that you are presenting to people the options they want. Let me round up with this opportunity. A week ago, somebody reached me and said they had a training in Port Harcourt. He was calling me on a Saturday. And this somebody, it's also power of relationship. This woman that was my reporter years ago, now is a corporate affairs manager, is organizing a training, and he remembers Mr. Lekan, who talks about media training, who had done a book on purpose-driven journalism, very small book, and he wanted me to talk to the journalists at purpose-driven. Was calling me on Saturday. They wanted me to come on Monday. I had 3 assignments I wanted to attend. I said it's not possible. I said, but can I come virtual? He was initially reluctant, but I said it is possible. So I proposed. So if I'm not digital savvy to do a Zoom presentation, I can't give that option. So I proposed that digital option, and he said it was fine later in the day. I connected, I spoke at the program. They asked me to wait behind because the next session, somebody was not there, and I joined. And at the end, they said, look, it's as if you are here. And trust me, I got paid for, I can say, what they paid me for that less than an hour is more than what I earn as an editor for a whole month.
Imagine.
So that's the thing about, these things we know. So people say, how do you make money online? It's not as if it's written somewhere. It's the thing that you can do, the option you can stop, and how people can see you online and say, okay, somebody told me that somebody is going for an interview this morning. An organization read a profile on LinkedIn and they were impressed. They think this is the right kind of person they're looking for.
Exactly.
So it's also part of your digital footprint. So if you have 100 years experience and people cannot find you on LinkedIn, people will need to meet you at your town hall meeting to know that you have that skill.
and it will be very difficult to find your town hall meeting. So what we are saying here, really, from the depth of our hearts, I and Mr. Otufodunrin, is position yourself as a media professional. I am very passionate. In fact, I'm speaking from my heart, and I know he's speaking from his heart. Position yourself. Don't be left behind. The digital media is your ECV. In case you don't know, that is the new CV. When you send your CV for anything you are doing now, they will check you out on your social media handles, whether in LinkedIn, the professional handle, or the other whatever social media. That is your ECV, and that is why whatever it is you're doing as a media professional, you need to put it out there. I always tell people, if you cannot share what you are doing, then nobody knows what you're doing. So share. I am all over the place on social media, LinkedIn, not because it's so palatable, I like it, but I know that I need to keep showing up, because that's how I am able to impact more people. That's how I'm able to showcase what I can do. That's how I'm able to get more new opportunities. That's why when I want to do maybe business with someone or a job or looking for an opportunity, they check. Some opportunities even come looking for you. And I tell you an interesting one as we wrap up. This media talk series, somebody reached out to me and said there are 2 people, one person on the international level and one person in Nigeria, that I should interview for this media talk show. So before, my assignment is to look for people like yourself, sir, and plead with them, try to find. Now, for me, it's a shift. Now people are beginning to reach out to me to say they want to feature on this program, and I'm wondering, it is just a matter of, because we have been showing up. And that says to me that we have moved up a little bit higher, because it's not just about me sourcing for resource persons to have conversation. Now people are beginning to reach out to me, people that matter. So please, colleagues, whether you are a new entrant, whether you have been doing this work for some years, or you have put in so much years, you can answer the question, what is more? Bring your A game. That's what we are saying. Into 2025, things can begin to be different if you begin to do things differently. And I like to say, if you are not hardworking, if you don't bring the extra, don't expect opportunities to drop on your table. The people that they are dropping on their table is not because anything magical. It's the work they are putting in. So put in the work and the opportunities will come to you. I want to thank you so much, Mr. Lekan Otufodunrin, for your precious time that you've spent with us, sharing from your wealth of experience, and really speaking from your heart. I'm taking away a good number of things from this conversation, and I'm hoping that as colleagues in the industry, watch this, they'll be able to, be charged, they'll be motivated to do things differently. And don't forget, please network, reach out to, if people want to reach out to you, can you just share your contact? Just share your contact so that if people want to reach out to you in terms of career, counseling, trainings, and all of that.
So, like you said, I'm also on this platform because that's where people can find you. So I'm on LinkedIn, just my name, Lekan Otufodunrin. I'm on Twitter, it's Lotufodunrin, Lotufodunrin. It's Lotufodunrin on Twitter. Lotufodunrin on Instagram. Facebook is Lekan Otufodunrin. You find the normal account, you find the page, and I think those are things. And even on WhatsApp, it's 080 50 49 85 30. So I tell journalists, I'm the one saying I'm a media mentor. So don't be worried that you're going to disturb me. I signed up for this and I'm able to do it in that way. It could take some time to get back, but I will get back. What I can do, I can refer you to people who can do it for you. But more importantly, let's work together. Let's see how we can improve our laws. Let's see how we can encourage more people to stay in this profession. We don't want to be in retirement and hear that those things that we are doing no longer exist. Let's try and ensure that outsiders are not pushing us out of our business. That's very, very important. Thank you.
Exactly. Let's ensure that outsiders are not pushing us out of this business because we train for it. We are practitioners. We are professionals. Thank you so much once again for coming on the show, Media Talk Show Series with me. If you've watched up until this point, catch you again on another episode of the Media Talk Show Series. I am rooting for you. We are going to the top together. Put in the work. Reach out to Mr. Lekan, as he has said. You can also, of course, reach out to me, chat me up if you have things that we could do together to better build ourselves and help ourselves hold each other's hand to succeed in this profession. Thank you again for watching.
Thank you.
Catch you again. See you next time. Bye-bye.